First contact. John's hands shook as he stared at the beautiful woman who held his wrist. Her grip was like steel, and her purple eyes glowed in the dim light of the space station's repair bay. She wasn't human. That much was clear now. "Please," she whispered again, "don't let them find me." Her voice was soft but desperate. John tried to stay calm, even though his heart was racing. The woman's pale skin had a strange glow to it, like moonlight on water. He had never seen anything like her before in his 10 years working at the station. "Who are you?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "What are you?" The woman slowly let go of his wrist, but stayed between him and the door. Her long silver hair floated slightly in the low gravity, making her look even more otherworldly. "My name is Luna," she said, watching him carefully. "I come from a planet called Nocturnia. Your people might call us vampires, though that's not quite right." John took a step back. "Vampires? Like blood-drinking monsters?" Luna shook her head quickly. No, we don't drink blood. We feed on energy. Pure energy, like that from stars." She pointed out the repair bay's window at the distant sun. "That's why I came here. This station is perfect for feeding." John's mind was spinning. He needed to report this. An alien on the station was a serious security issue. He reached slowly for the communication panel on the wall. Luna moved faster than his eyes could follow. Suddenly, she was between him and the panel. "I can't let you do that," she said sadly. "They'll find me if you call anyone." "Who will find you?" John asked, trying to understand what was happening. "Why are you running?" Luna's purple eyes darkened. "My own people. They want to use me. I'm different from the others." She held up her hand, and John watched in amazement as tiny points of light began to dance around her fingers, like she was holding stars in her palm. "I can absorb more energy than any of my kind," she explained. "They want to use my power to make weapons, to destroy instead of create." The lights faded as she closed her hand. John could hear the fear in her voice. It sounded real, but he had a job to do. "I still need to report." A loud alarm suddenly cut through the air. Luna's head snapped up, her eyes wide with fear. "They're here," she whispered. The repair bay's main screen lit up with an incoming transmission. John's jaw dropped as he saw the faces on the screen. They looked similar to Luna. Pale skin, strange eyes, but their expressions were cold and harsh. "This is Commander Vale of the Nocturnia Security Force," the lead figure announced. "We are tracking a dangerous fugitive. Your station must be searched." Luna grabbed John's arm again, but gentler this time. "Please," she begged. "They'll destroy everything I could do to help people. My power, it could save dying stars, bring life back to dead systems, but they only want to use it for war." John looked between Luna and the screen. The commander was still talking, listing Luna's supposed crimes, but something felt wrong about the whole thing. "Station control, respond immediately," Commander Vale demanded. His voice had an edge to it that made John uncomfortable. In that moment, John made his decision. He reached for the panel, but instead of calling security, he locked down the repair bay doors. "If you're lying to me," he said to Luna. She shook her head. "I'm not. I promise." She touched his hand, and he felt a warm tingle, like sunlight on his skin. "I won't hurt you, but I need your help." More alarms started blaring. The station's security system was detecting unauthorized ship docking. "They're coming," Luna said. "We don't have much time." John took a deep breath. He was probably making a huge mistake, but something told him Luna was telling the truth, and if she really could save dying stars. "There's a maintenance tunnel under the floor panel," he said. "It leads to the backup control room. We can hide there until—" A loud bang shook the repair bay door. Someone was trying to break in. Luna's eyes lit up with hope, and something else. Was that a hint of a smile? "Thank you," she said. "I knew I was right about you." As they pulled up the floor panel and slipped into the darkness below, John wondered what exactly she meant by that, but there was no time to ask. The sound of the door being forced open echoed above them as they crawled into the shadows of the maintenance tunnel. Trust and secrets. The maintenance tunnel was barely wide enough for John's shoulders. The metal walls pressed in around them as they crawled through the darkness, with only Luna's faintly glowing skin providing any light. Above them, heavy boots stomped across the repair bay floor. "They're searching the whole level," Luna whispered. Her purple eyes seemed to shine brighter in the darkness. "The Nocturnian hunters are very good at tracking their prey." John tried to steady his breathing. The tunnel felt smaller with every passing second. "These hunters," he whispered back, "what exactly can they do?" A loud crash from above made them both freeze. Luna's hand found John's in the darkness, warning him to stay still. Her skin felt cool, like touching the surface of a window on a winter morning. "We can sense energy," she explained after the noise passed. "Heat, electricity, even the tiny amount of radiation that all living things give off. That's why we need to get to somewhere with lots of background energy, to hide our signatures." That made John think. "The backup control room," he said. "It's right next to the station's secondary reactor. Would that help?" Luna's face lit up with a genuine smile. "Perfect. You're cleverer than you look, John Martinez." John stopped crawling. "I never told you my last name." Luna's smile faded slightly. I can explain that too. But first, we need to move. They're getting closer." They continued through the tunnel system, taking turns that John had memorized during his years of maintenance work. The whole time, Luna's words echoed in his mind. How did she know his name? Finally, they reached a larger junction area where they could sit up. John's back ached from crawling. Through a small vent, they could see the soft blue glow of the secondary reactor. "We should be safe here for a while," John said. "Now, about my name." Luna sighed, and small points of light began to dance around her like tiny stars. "My people, we have abilities that go beyond just sensing energy. Some of us can see things. Possible futures. Connections." She looked directly into his eyes. "The moment I saw you, I knew your name. I knew you would help me. And I knew other things." "What other things?" John asked, both fascinated and nervous. Luna opened her mouth to answer, but suddenly pressed her finger to her lips. Above them, footsteps approached. "The energy trail ends here," a deep voice said. "The fugitive is close." Through the vent, John could see 2 pairs of boots. The hunters wore sleek black armor that seemed to absorb light. Their weapons hummed with a strange energy that made his teeth ache. "Commander Vale," one of them said into a communicator. "We've tracked them to the lower maintenance level. Something's interfering with the trace. Might be reactor interference." Luna and John held their breath. The hunter was right above their hiding spot. "Understood, sir," the hunter continued. "We'll begin a systematic search of—" "Wait." He paused. "I'm picking up a strange reading. It's like stars." Luna's eyes went wide. The tiny lights dancing around her were getting brighter. She was losing control. John acted without thinking. He reached out and pulled Luna close, wrapping his arms around her. Maybe his body heat would mask her energy signature. Luna stiffened for a moment, then relaxed against him, burying her face in his shoulder. The lights dimmed. "Reading's gone," the hunter reported. "Must have been reactor feedback. Moving to Sector 7. The footsteps moved away. Neither John nor Luna moved for several long moments. When they finally separated, Luna's eyes were filled with wonder. "You figured it out," she whispered. "About masking my energy." "How?" John shrugged. "Just seemed logical. Body heat might confuse their sensors." He tried to sound casual, but his heart was still racing from the close call. "Now about these other things you've seen." Luna's expression became serious. "Your future is significant, John. More than you know. You're going to help change everything. Not just for me, but for both our peoples." She hesitated. That's why they can't find us. The hunters don't just want me for my power. They want to stop what's coming. Which is what, exactly? Luna stood up carefully in the confined space. Her hand touched the reactor wall, and John watched in amazement as streams of energy flowed from the metal into her skin. Her whole body began to glow softly. Peace, she said simply. Understanding. A future where my people use their gifts to help others instead of gaining power. She looked down at him. And you're the key to all of it. John's mind spun. An hour ago, his biggest worry had been finishing his repair reports. Now he was hiding in a maintenance tunnel with an alien vampire who could see the future and absorb energy. And apparently, he was some kind of prophesied figure for her people. A new alarm started blaring. This one different from the others. They're shutting down power to this section, John realized. They're trying to flush us out. Luna's glow brightened slightly. I absorbed enough energy from the reactor. I can help us see in the dark, but we need to move. They'll check here first when the power drops. There's an old storage bay, 2 levels down, John said. It's been sealed off for years. The life support still works, but it's not on any current station maps. Luna nodded. Lead the way. She paused, then added softly, Do you trust me, John? Even after everything I've told you. John thought about the hunters, their cold voices and dangerous weapons. He thought about Luna's eyes when she spoke of peace, and how she hadn't harmed anyone despite clearly having the power to do so. I trust you enough, he said finally. For now. Luna smiled, and for a moment, the glow of energy around her looked almost like wings. That's all I ask. Now, let's go before. A massive explosion rocked the station, throwing them both against the tunnel wall. Emergency sirens began to wail. Warning, the station's AI announced. Hull breach detected in sectors 5 through 8. Emergency protocols engage. John and Luna shared a look of horror. Sector 5 was directly above them. They're not just hunting us, Luna whispered. They're willing to destroy the whole station to find me. The race for survival had just become much more complicated. The chase begins. The space station shook again as another explosion tore through its upper levels. Warning lights painted the corridors in flashing red as John and Luna ran through the emergency evacuation routes. Hull breach spreading to Sector 9. The station AI announced. All personnel proceed to emergency vessels. This is not a drill. John grabbed Luna's arm and pulled her into a maintenance closet just as a group of station security officers ran past. Through the small window, they could see escape pods launching into space, tiny bright dots against the darkness. Your people are going to kill everyone just to get to you, John said, trying to catch his breath. Luna's purple eyes flashed with anger. No, this isn't right. The hunters are cruel, but this... She pressed her hand against the wall, absorbing energy from the station's power lines. This is something else. Someone else is involved. What do you mean? Before Luna could answer, a new voice echoed through the station's communication system. It was Commander Vale. Attention station personnel, his cold voice announced. This is your final warning. Surrender the Nocturnian fugitive, and we will cease our attack. Continue to harbor her, and we will assume you are all conspirators against the Nocturnia security force. John checked his tablet, which was still connected to the station's systems. We've lost 3 decks already. Life support is failing in sections all across the station. He looked at Luna. We need a plan. Luna's skin began to glow brighter as she absorbed more energy. I have one, but you're not going to like it. She pointed through the window toward the emergency hangar bay. We need to steal a ship. You're right. I don't like it. John ran his hand through his hair in frustration. But I guess we don't have much choice. They waited until the corridor was clear, then sprinted toward the hangar. Luna's enhanced senses helped them avoid 2 more security patrols. As they ran, she explained more about her people. We evolved on a dying world, she said, her voice steady despite their pace. Our star was fading, so we adapted to absorb and store stellar energy. But some of us developed more unusual abilities. They reached the hangar entrance, but the doors were sealed. John pulled off an access panel and started working on the circuits. Like seeing the future, he asked as he worked. Yes. But also, Luna suddenly grabbed John and pulled him back, just as a plasma bolt burned through the air where he had been standing. At the other end of the corridor stood 3 hunters in their light-absorbing armor. Their weapons hummed with deadly energy. "Impressive reflexes, Princess," one of them called out. "But it's over now." John froze. "Princess." Luna's face hardened. "Later," she whispered. Then she stepped forward, her body beginning to glow with all the energy she had absorbed. The hunters raised their weapons, but Luna was faster. She thrust her hands forward, and streams of pure energy burst from her palms. The hunters dove for cover as the energy blast melted the metal wall behind them. "John." The door. John snapped back to work on the circuits. His fingers flew over the wires as plasma bolts filled the air around them. Luna stood her ground, trading energy blasts with the hunters. "You're only delaying the inevitable," another hunter shouted. "The Council has ordered your return. The weapon program must continue." "I am not a weapon." Luna's voice carried a power John had never heard before. The lights in the corridor flickered as she drew more energy from the station itself. With a final spark, the hangar doors slid open. John grabbed Luna's arm. "Come on." They ran into the hangar as more hunters appeared behind them. The space was huge, filled with various ships used for station maintenance and emergency evacuation. John pointed to a sleek courier vessel near the exit. "That one. It's fast and already fueled." They sprinted toward the ship, dodging weapons fire. Luna provided cover, her energy blasts keeping the hunters at bay. But more were arriving every second. "Fighting your own people, Princess." Commander Vale's voice boomed through the hangar. He stepped out from behind a larger vessel, his armor more elaborate than the others. "Your father would be so disappointed." "My father would be horrified at what you've done to our mission." Luna shot back. "We were supposed to help dying worlds, not destroy them." John reached the ship first and slammed his hand on the access panel. To his surprise, it opened immediately. "Luna, come on." Luna backed toward the ship, still facing the hunters. Vale raised his hand, and his soldiers held their fire. "You know what's coming," Vale said, his voice almost gentle now. "The great dying. Thousands of stars will fade. Billions will perish. With your power, we could save our chosen few. Isn't that better than watching them all die?" Luna reached the ship's ramp. Her voice was sad but firm. "We can save them all. I've seen it. With help from people like John, we can save every star, every world. But you're too afraid to trust anyone but yourselves." Vale's expression hardened. "So be it." He lowered his hand. "Kill them both." What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. As the hunters opened fire, Luna spun around and pushed John into the ship. Then she turned back, raised both hands, and released all the energy she had absorbed. The blast was blinding. John heard hunters screaming, metal tearing. When his vision cleared, there was a molten trench in the hangar floor between them and their pursuers. Luna stumbled into the ship, clearly drained. John jumped into the pilot's seat and started the launch sequence. Warning lights flashed as the hunters began to recover. "Hang on," John shouted as he fired the engines. The ship shot forward, bursting through the hangar's magnetic field into open space. But their problems weren't over. On the radar, multiple signals appeared. Nocturnian patrol ships, moving to intercept. "They're not going to let us go easily," Luna said weakly from the co-pilot's seat. "Head for the star. I have an idea." "The star will burn up." Luna managed a tired smile. "Trust me, you've seen what I can do with station power. Imagine what I can do with a star." John looked at her glowing purple eyes, thought about everything he'd seen her do, and made his decision. He turned the ship toward the burning light of the system's star. Behind them, the patrol ships opened fire. The real chase was about to begin. Safe haven. The star filled their entire view screen, its surface churning with massive solar flares. The ship's warning systems screamed as the heat shields started to fail. Behind them, the Nocturnian patrol ships were falling back, unwilling to follow them so close to the stellar inferno. "We'll burn up in 30 seconds," John shouted, fighting the controls as solar winds buffeted their small vessel. Luna stood up from her seat, her legs shaky but her eyes bright with determination. "Not if I can help it." She pressed her hands against the front viewport, and her entire body began to glow with an intense purple light. What happened next defied everything John knew about physics. The solar radiation streaming toward their ship began to curve, flowing around them like water around a rock. More than that, it was being drawn directly into Luna's body. "This is impossible," John whispered, watching as his sensor readings went crazy. Luna's voice was strained. "Nothing's impossible. Just improbable." Her skin was now so bright it hurt to look at her. "I've never absorbed this much before. We need to get out of here. Now." John didn't need to be told twice. He swung the ship around, using the star's gravity to slingshot them away at incredible speed. The patrol ships scrambled to pursue, but they had lost too much ground avoiding the star's heat. "We did it," John exclaimed. Then he saw Luna collapse. "Luna." He engaged the autopilot and rushed to her side. Her skin was literally crackling with energy, small arcs of power jumping between her fingers like miniature lightning bolts. "Too much," she gasped. "Need to release it safely." Her eyes focused on something past their viewport. There, that moon. John looked where she was pointing. They were approaching a small system with several planets. The moon she indicated was barren, cratered, with no atmosphere. "Perfect for dispersing excess energy," Luna managed to say. "Land. Quickly." John piloted them down to the moon's surface, finding a large crater to hide their ship from orbital scans. As soon as they landed, Luna stumbled out of the ship onto the dusty surface. "Stand back," she warned. John watched from the ship's ramp as Luna raised her hands to the star-filled sky. Energy erupted from her body in a spectacular display, like a reverse aurora borealis flowing up into space. The ground around her feet crystallized from the heat, creating a circle of glassy rock. Finally, after several minutes, the light show ended. Luna swayed on her feet, and John rushed forward to catch her before she fell. "That," she said with a tired smile, "was exhilarating. You absorbed energy from a star." John helped her sit on a nearby rock. "I thought you were powerful before, but this was incredibly dangerous," she finished, "and probably gave away our position to anyone watching for energy signatures." She looked around the barren landscape. "We need to find better shelter." John checked his ship's sensors. "There's something interesting about 3 kilometers east. Looks like an abandoned mining facility." Luna nodded. "Perfect. The mineral deposits will help mask any residual energy I'm giving off." They made their way across the lunar surface in the ship, finding a massive complex carved into the side of a mountain. Ancient machinery sat covered in dust, and huge tunnels led deep into the moon's crust. "Helium-3 mining operation," John said, examining the equipment. "Abandoned at least 20 years ago, when fusion power became more efficient." He pointed to a sealed airlock. "But the emergency systems are still working. We should have power and air inside." Once they were safely inside the facility's main control room, John finally asked the question that had been burning in his mind. "So, Princess." Luna sighed as she sat in an old control chair. "Yes, my father is King Solaris of Nocturnia. That's why I can do what I do. The royal bloodline has always had the strongest connection to stellar energy." She looked down at her hands. "But I never wanted the throne. I wanted to use my abilities to help people." "And the weapon program," Thale mentioned. My father's advisors discovered that my particular talents could be used to accelerate stellar decay. Imagine it. The power to kill stars at will, to hold entire systems hostage. She looked sick at the thought. When I refused to help them, they decided to force me. John was about to respond when a loud crash echoed from deep within the facility. They both froze. "We're not alone," Luna whispered. More sounds came from the tunnels. Mechanical whirring, metal on metal. Getting closer. Mining drones, John suggested hopefully. A red light appeared in the darkness of the tunnel, then another and another. As the things emerged into the control room's light, John's hope vanished. They were robots, but like nothing he'd ever seen. Their metal bodies were black as space, covered in strange symbols that glowed with the same purple energy Luna used. Each had multiple arms ending in various weapons and tools. Harvester units, Luna breathed. Ancient Nocturnian technology. They were supposed to be myths. What are they doing here? Looking for me. Luna stood up, energy already beginning to dance around her hands. My people didn't abandon technology entirely. We hid it, scattered it across the galaxy. These units were designed to. She never finished the sentence. The lead harvester's eyes flashed, and it spoke in a voice that sounded like grinding metal. Prime tar GTLOCATE. Genetic signature co-HFY beginning collection protocol. All the robots moved forward at once, their weapons powering up with an ominous hum. Collection protocol? John asked, backing away. They're not here to capture me, Luna said grimly. They're here to harvest my abilities. By any means necessary. The first harvester launched itself forward with frightening speed, its metal claws reaching for Luna's throat. Their safe haven had just become a trap. The truth emerges. The harvester unit's claws sliced through the air, where Luna had been a split second before. She moved with incredible speed, still charged with residual energy from the star. Her hands glowed purple as she fired energy bolts at the robots, but their black metal shells absorbed the attacks like they were nothing. Energy-based weapons ineffective, John shouted from behind a control panel. He was frantically working on the facility's old computer system. They're designed to handle your powers. Then we do this the old-fashioned way. Luna grabbed a piece of broken machinery and swung it at the nearest harvester, knocking it off balance. But two more immediately took its place. Resistance futile, the lead harvester announced. Collection protocol optimization, REQYREs, minimal damage, 2G needeki material. John's fingers flew over the keyboard. Luna, these things are tied into some kind of ancient network. There's data flowing through the facility's systems. Wait. His eyes widened. This isn't just a mining facility. It's a research station. Luna ducked under a harvester's grab and rolled across the floor. What kind of research? Before John could answer, one of the harvesters shot a strange web-like energy net at Luna. She couldn't dodge in time, and the net wrapped around her, pinning her arms to her sides. Purple electricity crackled across its surface. Power dampening field. Luna gasped, struggling against the net. Can't access my abilities. The harvesters moved in, their red eyes glowing brighter. But John had found something in the computer systems. System override possible. He typed frantically. These aren't just Nocturnian robots. They're hybrid technology, part of something called Project Oracle. Unauthorized access SSD-TKCTE. The lead harvester turned toward John. Termination PROTOCOLS. John slammed his hand down on the enter key. Suddenly, all the harvesters froze. Their red eyes flickered, then turned blue. Collection protocol overridden, they announced in unison. Project Oracle archives unlocked, initiating historical playback. The center of the room lit up with a massive hologram. Luna, still trapped in the energy net, stared in wonder as images began to play. It showed Nocturnia thousands of years ago, but not as a dying world. It was a thriving civilization of both humans and Nocturnians working together. Scientists of both species collaborated in laboratories. Ships with hybrid crews explored the stars. "That's impossible," Luna whispered. "Our histories say humans never knew about us until now." The hologram shifted, showing a massive stellar observatory. In it, scientists were making a terrible discovery. A wave of stellar decay was spreading across the galaxy, causing stars to die centuries before their time. "Project Oracle was our solution," a voice narrated. "An ancient Nocturnian scientist. Humans provided the technology, we provided the energy manipulation abilities. Together, we found a way to restore dying stars." The image showed huge machines, similar to the harvesters but much larger, working with Nocturnian energy wielders to stabilize a failing star. But the Council of that time feared what would happen if other species learned of our existence. The narrator continued. "They believed we would be hunted for our abilities. So they erased all evidence of human contact, buried the technology, and spread false histories." John had finally reached Luna and was working to disable the energy net. "That's why Vale and the others want you so badly. You haven't just rediscovered the old abilities. I surpassed them," Luna finished as the net finally powered down. She stood up, looking at the hologram with new understanding. "The royal bloodline. We weren't just powerful. We were the ones who worked most closely with humans in the project." The harvesters spoke again, this time in a different voice, one that sounded eerily like an older version of Luna. "To whoever finds this message, I am Queen Aurora, and I hid these facilities across the galaxy. The Council may have buried our past, but they couldn't erase everything. The star death is coming again. The cycle repeats, but this time, we must face it together." The hologram showed a final image, a map of spreading stellar decay, exactly like the pattern Vale had mentioned. But it also showed something else, a solution. Hundreds of facilities like this one, hidden across space, containing the combined knowledge and technology of both species. The harvesters weren't trying to capture you, John realized. They were testing you, making sure you were really the heir to the royal bloodline before revealing the truth. Luna walked up to the hologram, her hand passing through the light. "All this time, we thought we had to choose between saving a few worlds or watching them all die. But our ancestors found another way." She turned to John, her purple eyes glowing with purpose. "This is what I saw in your future, why you're so important. Your technical skills, combined with my abilities. We can restart Project Oracle," John finished. "Rebuild the partnership between our species." A new alarm started blaring. The facility's sensors were picking up multiple ships entering orbit. "Vale and the hunters," Luna said. "They must have tracked the energy signature when I discharged the star's power." She looked at the harvesters. "Will you help us?" The robot's blue eyes pulsed. "Project Oracle protocols active. Genetic hair confirmed. Awaiting orders, Princess." Luna smiled, and for the first time, she looked truly royal. A leader, not just a fugitive. "Then let's show them what humans and Nocturnians can really do together." John moved to the control panel, already forming a plan. The facility has defenses, and with the harvesters reprogrammed. "We're not running anymore," Luna declared. "It's time for the truth to emerge." She placed her hand on an ancient control panel, and the entire facility hummed to life, hidden machinery awakening after centuries of sleep. Above them, Vale's ships began their descent, unaware that they were about to witness not just a battle, but the rebirth of an ancient alliance. The real revolution was about to begin. Final decision. The ancient facility shook as Vale's ships began their bombardment. Energy shields that had lain dormant for centuries flared to life, their purple glow a perfect match for Luna's powers. "Shields at 80% and holding," John called from the main control station. The harvesters had linked with his console, feeding him data faster than he could process it. "They're trying to breach the eastern sector." Luna stood in the center of the facility's main chamber, her hands pressed against a crystalline pillar that pulsed with power. Let them come. They need to see this. Her eyes glowed brighter as she connected with the facility systems, activating Project Oracle defense protocols. Outside, hidden weapon platforms emerged from the moon's surface, but instead of firing destructive energy blasts, they shot beams of pure stellar energy into space, creating a magnificent aurora above the facility. The light show was visible from orbit, a signal that couldn't be ignored. "This is Commander Vale to all ships." His voice crackled through their communications. "Hold position. Something's different." A pause. "Princess Luna, what have you done?" Luna's voice carried through the facility's external speakers, echoing across the lunar surface. "Why don't you come and see for yourself, Commander? Under truce, bring your best scientists. They'll want to witness this." There was a long silence. John moved closer to Luna. "Are you sure about this?" She nodded. "Vale is many things, but he's not stupid. He can feel the power of this place. The truth it holds." 20 minutes later, Vale and a small team of Nocturnian officials stood in the main chamber, surrounded by the reprogrammed harvesters. Their faces showed a mix of awe and disbelief as they watched the historical holograms play out. "Impossible," one of the scientists whispered, scanning the ancient data with trembling hands. "The energy signatures, the technological integration, it's beyond anything we've achieved." Vale's face was unreadable as he watched images of humans and Nocturnians working together. "Even if this is true, the Council will never accept it. The weapon program was a mistake." Luna interrupted. She waved her hand, and the hologram shifted to show a new image, a massive stellar restoration device. "This is what we were meant to build. Not star killers, but star saviors." She pressed her hand to the crystal pillar again, and suddenly the entire chamber transformed. The ceiling became transparent, showing the star-filled sky above. But now, overlaid on the view, were thousands of red dots, dying stars. "The great dying Vale spoke of." Luna's voice was strong, regal. "It's already begun. But watch this." She nodded to John. John typed a command sequence, and blue dots began appearing alongside the red, hidden facilities like this one, scattered across the galaxy. Each of these stations contains the combined knowledge of both our species. Together, they form a network powerful enough to stabilize entire star systems. "Impossible," Vale repeated, but with less conviction. "The energy requirements alone are perfectly manageable when you have both Nocturnian energy manipulation and human technical innovation." Luna countered. She turned to the harvesters. "Show them." The robots moved in perfect synchronization, forming a circle. Energy began flowing between them, creating a miniature model of a dying star. As they worked together, the star's chaotic energy pattern stabilized, its color shifting from angry red to healthy yellow. "A demonstration only," John explained. "But scale this up using the network of facilities. We could save everyone." Luna finished. "Not just a chosen few. Every world, every species that would be affected by the stellar decay." Vale stepped forward, his face troubled. "And you've connected with these systems, verified these claims." Luna smiled. "I'll do better than that." She reached out her hand, purple energy dancing across her fingers. "I'll show you." Before Vale could react, Luna sent a pulse of energy through the room. But instead of attacking, the energy merged with the facility systems. Suddenly, every Nocturnian present gasped as their innate energy senses expanded exponentially. Through Luna's power, they could feel everything. The network of facilities stretching across space, the dying stars crying out for help, and the incredible potential of the human Nocturnian technology working in harmony. By the first star, Vale breathed. His usual cold demeanor cracked, showing genuine wonder. "This is what you saw in your visions, what you've been trying to tell us." "Yes." Luna's voice was gentle now. "This is why I ran, why I had to find John. The royal bloodline wasn't meant to create weapons. We were meant to be bridges. Between species, between stars, between past and future. One of the scientists stepped forward, her eyes shining. Commander, the data is undeniable. If we combine this ancient knowledge with our modern understanding, we could create something even greater than our ancestors, John finished. He had moved to stand beside Luna, and the harvesters shifted to flank them both, but only together. Vale looked around the chamber, at the human Nocturnian technology, at the star map showing both crisis and hope, at Luna and John standing united. Finally, he did something none of his soldiers had ever seen before. He knelt. "Princess Luna," he said formally, "I believe it's time I made a report to your father and to the council." He looked up, and for the first time, there was a slight smile on his face. "Though I suspect they're not going to like everything I have to say." Luna reached down and helped him stand. "No, they won't. But they need to hear it. All of it." Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. The star map above them showed multiple red dots pulsing urgently. 3 star systems entering critical decay, John reported, checking the readings. "Closer than we thought. We have weeks, maybe days, before they collapse." Luna looked at Vale. "Time to make your decision, Commander. Are you with us?" Vale turned to his soldiers and scientists. Every one of them nodded without hesitation. "We're with you, Princess." He activated his ship's communicator. "This is Commander Vale to all Nocturnian vessels. Priority Code Alpha. Download all data from this facility and prepare for emergency deployment." He paused, then added, "And send word to the palace. Tell them we're about to change everything." Luna smiled, then turned to John. "Ready to save some stars?" John looked at the complex calculations and energy patterns flowing across his screen, a perfect fusion of human science and Nocturnian power. "Ready. Though I have to ask, did you really see all this in your visions? Us, this facility, everything?" Luna's eyes sparkled with that familiar mix of mystery and mischief. "I saw possibilities. But this..." She looked around at the unlikely alliance forming in the chamber. Humans, Nocturnians, and ancient machines, all preparing to work together. This is better than any vision. Above them, Vale's ships were already moving into position, preparing to spread the word across the galaxy. The ancient facility hummed with power, awakening fully for the first time in centuries. The final battle wouldn't be fought with weapons, but with hope, unity, and the combined strength of 2 species who had forgotten they were ever allies. It was time to remind the universe of what they could achieve together. Unexpected ending. The royal palace of Nocturnia gleamed under the light of 3 moons, its crystalline spires pulsing with stored stellar energy. In the Grand Council chamber, King Solaris stood before the assembled leaders of both Nocturnia and the human diplomatic delegation. His daughter Luna stood beside him, with John and Commander Vale flanking them. 2 months ago, the king addressed the chamber. "We faced a crisis that threatened thousands of worlds. Today, we celebrate not just the salvation of those worlds, but the rebirth of an ancient partnership." The chamber's central hologram displayed a spectacular sight: the successful restoration of 7 star systems, their dying cores now burning bright and stable. Project Oracle facilities across the galaxy were awakening, their combined power greater than anyone had imagined. None of this would have been possible. Luna stepped forward, her royal robes shimmering with contained energy, without embracing the truth about our past and our future. She smiled at John, or without the courage to trust someone different from ourselves. But their success had brought unexpected challenges. Luna turned to face the assembled council members, her expression serious. "As you've all seen, the stellar decay is spreading faster than our ancient records predicted. We've saved 7 systems, yes, but we've identified 30 more approaching critical status." She waved her hand, updating the hologram to show the growing crisis. "We need to do more than just restore individual stars. We need to stop the decay at its source." John moved to the central platform, now wearing the formal uniform of Earth's new Stellar Preservation Corps. The Harvesters had helped design it, a perfect blend of human and Nocturnian technology. "We've analyzed the pattern of decay," he explained, bringing up complex energy diagrams. "It's not random. There's a wave of destabilizing energy moving through the galaxy, like ripples in a pond. But every ripple has a point of origin." Luna nodded. "The ancient records call it the Nexus, a point in space where multiple dimensional barriers have weakened. Energy from other universes is bleeding through, disrupting our star's natural cycles." Commander Vale, now wearing the new insignia of the Joint Species Task Force, stepped forward. "We've located the Nexus, but reaching it," he shook his head, "the energy distortions are too intense for normal ships." Which is why Luna's eyes sparkled with that familiar mix of determination and mischief. "We're not going to use normal ships." The chamber's doors opened, and a procession of harvesters entered, carrying something massive and covered in shimmering fabric. At Luna's signal, they pulled the cover away, revealing a ship unlike anything either species had ever seen. It was beautiful, sleek like human vessels, but with the organic curves of Nocturnian design. Its hull was made of the same crystal as the ancient facilities, designed to channel and amplify energy. But most striking were the multiple rings surrounding it, each inscribed with symbols from both cultures. "The Starweaver," John announced proudly, "built using combined human and Nocturnian science, capable of not just withstanding the Nexus's energy, but harnessing it." King Solaris studied the vessel with amazement. "You mean to pilot this ship into the heart of the distortion? The risks are nothing compared to the cost of inaction." Luna finished. She turned to face the assembled leaders. "I've seen what happens if we fail. Entire sectors of space going dark, billions of lives lost. But I've also seen what happens if we succeed." She raised her hands, and energy flowed from her into the chamber systems. The hologram transformed, showing a future of restored stars, thriving worlds, and the two species working together across the galaxy. "This is why the royal bloodline carries the power it does," she continued. "Not to rule, not to destroy, but to unite. To heal not just stars, but the divisions between species." John stepped closer to her. "We're not asking for permission," he said quietly. "We're asking for trust. The same trust that saved those 7 star systems." The chamber erupted in discussion, but King Solaris raised his hand for silence. He looked at his daughter, no longer the fugitive princess running from her destiny, but a leader who had found her true purpose. "The ancient prophecies," he said thoughtfully, "spoke of a time when the stars would weep, and only the combined light of 2 worlds could dry their tears." He smiled. "I never understood until now." He turned to the assembled council. "My daughter and John Martinez will lead the mission to the Nexus. Commander Vale will coordinate support from our combined fleets. All in favor?" The vote was unanimous. Later, as they made final preparations aboard the Starweaver, John found Luna in the ship's observation dome. She was watching the 3 moons of Nocturnia, their light playing across her face. "Having second thoughts?" he asked. She turned to him, her purple eyes glowing softly. "About flying an experimental ship into a dimensional rift to save every star in the galaxy." She laughed. "Not at all. Though I do have one question." "What's that?" "That first day, in the repair bay, did you ever imagine it would lead to this?" John smiled, remembering how terrified he'd been of the strange vampire alien woman who wouldn't let him go. "Actually, I did have a feeling." Luna raised an eyebrow. "Oh, and what feeling was that?" "That meeting you was going to change everything." He gestured at the magnificent ship around them, at the combined crew of humans and Nocturnians preparing for their greatest challenge. "I just didn't realize it would change everything for everyone." Luna's hand found his, their fingers intertwining. Where their skin touched, a soft purple glow emerged, human and Nocturnian energy in perfect harmony. "Ready to save the galaxy," she asked. With you. Always. Above them, the stars beckoned, not with fear of their dying light, but with promise of a future brighter than either species had dreamed possible. The Star Weaver's engines hummed to life, its crystalline hull beginning to pulse with power. As they prepared to depart, Luna sent one final burst of energy into the palace's systems, creating a spectacular aurora that lit up the night sky. It was both a farewell and a promise, to her father, to their peoples, to every star that waited to be saved. The vampire alien woman who had once been a fugitive was now a bridge between worlds, heading out into the unknown with the human who had dared to trust her. Their story wasn't ending. It was just beginning.